All right, all. Thank you guys for being here this morning. As we wait for the last folks to join, we'll go ahead and get started with a few announcements. So if you would, I think we had a little bit of echo here at the beginning. So if you'll mute yourself when you're not chatting or asking a question, that would be great. So our presenters can have a clear airway for that. So good morning, everyone. My name is Susan Mooring. I'm one of the local organizers here for 1 Million Cups in Oklahoma City. Those of you that have your video on, can we get a show of hands? Is this anyone's first time? Okay, a few. Awesome. Well, glad you guys are here. Glad to have so many returnees back as well. So if you are new to 1 Million Cups, so it is actually a national organization managed by the Kauffman Foundation to support entrepreneurial communities across the country. So in cities all over the country, there are 1 Million Cups meetups happening on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. to showcase local entrepreneurs from all different communities. So it's really exciting initiative by the Kauffman Foundation. Our local Oklahoma City chapter, we meet the second Wednesday morning of every month at 9 a.m. Generally at Star Space 46 is our in-person meeting place. If you haven't been there, it's a really outstanding co-working space in downtown Oklahoma City. But we are excited to be back for our third ever virtual 1 Million Cups Oklahoma City event today. We have a few other organizers on the call we want to recognize. Stacy, Evan, Brent. If you guys have questions throughout the presentations, or if you're watching and think, man, I would really like to do this, message one of us and we'll help you figure out how to get set up for that. So the format for today, our last couple of virtual meetups, so the focus has been shifted kind of and how we can help entrepreneurs during the pandemic. But today we're really going back to our core format, which is showcasing 2 different entrepreneurs from the community. We're going to let them give 10-minute presentations for their business and then open it up to Q&A. The goal here is really to expose the community to really interesting startups that are here in Oklahoma, but also to give them the opportunity to get challenged by audience questions and make connections through people that you all may know as you hear their stories. Today's particular edition, we're doing Where Are They Now? So both of the presenters that you'll see today have presented at 1 Million Cups events in the past. One of them even has a new name since then. So you're going to get to hear about interesting pivots they've made, how their entrepreneurial journey has changed over the course of the 1 to 2 to 3 years since they last presented. So we're really excited to have both of these back. Like I mentioned, after their short presentations, we will have Q&A. So there are 2 ways you can ask questions. You can just unmute yourself and ask the question if there's silence on the line. You can also type your questions in the chat and our organizers will help moderate those. So please do ask questions. It's one of our favorite parts of 1 Million Cups events when we get to do it in person is that audience engagement and building those relationships between the presenters and the audience. So we try to mimic that in our virtual setting as much as possible. And then finally, we want to thank our sponsors that help make this event happen. Generally, we are at Star Space 46, but for now, since we're on Zoom, thank you to the Kauffman Foundation for providing these Zoom accounts for us. And then also shout out to Rack 59, who is generally our breakfast sponsor when we meet in person. So Brent Green from Rack 59, if you can see him on your screen, he's holding up 2 gift cards for coffee and donuts from Brown's Bakery. Awesome. So if you've been to our in-person meetups, it's all about coffee. It's all about the Brown's Bakery donuts. So again, trying to mimic that by doing a giveaway for coffee and donuts. So what's going to happen is at the end of the event, we'll ask a question or post it in the chat that is from one of the presentations today, a little trivia question, and the first person to answer it in the chat will win the gift cards from Brent and Rack 59. Okay, so with no further ado, I am going to hand it over to Ben Schwartz with Lane X Auto Auctions to give us his update. And if you've been a 1 Million Cups OKC follower for a while, you may remember him from Goggle Auctions, which presented at least 2 years ago, maybe more. So Ben, the floor is yours.
Hey, good morning, everybody. And thanks for having me, 1 Million Cups and Rack 59. So yeah, 2 years ago, when I first presented at 1 Million Cups at Star Space 46, we were Goggle Auctions. And so what that looked like, we were wanting to have virtual VR auctions all across the country, right? And so we found that after interviewing some buyers and sellers, and I'll get to what I do in a minute and kind of what we do overall. But if you're not familiar with auto auctions, I'll kind of explain that a little bit later as well. But yeah, VR, we were pretty excited about that and still are. We have to have a POC, proof of concept for auctions in virtual reality, right? So we can take 1 million auctions that are over 300 acres, 5,000 cars, and put 1 million of those in VR. And so that concept is still pretty exciting to us, and we hope to, bring that on at a later date still. But in the meantime, we pivoted to what we call now Lane X auto auctions, and so we're a virtual online auction with 360 CRs. And so and so buyers and sellers offer their vehicles for sale, and buyers come in and buy those vehicles online from their computer, from the convenience of their office or home. And so a car sells about every 60 seconds in an auction, if you're not familiar with an auction. And so we have around 700 cars that we're running actually today in our Lane X auction on Wednesdays at 11:30. And we're pretty excited about it. It's our second auction since we launched. And I've been working on this for 2 years, starting back with Goggle Auctions 2 years ago. And so it's been a journey, needless to say, and it's been pretty fun and, eye-opening as well. And so I'm going to show you a couple of things, and we'll kind of get into kind of what an auction is. And so how we present an auction, right? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So this is what we call a condition report. And so we have an outside coordinator that goes out and captures a 360 of the vehicle inside and out, and adds hotspots to damage around the vehicle, which gives the buyer who's previewing this vehicle, greater transparency, if you will. And so you can, let's go ahead and open this up. This is a 360 of a truck that we actually captured in Oklahoma City not too long ago. And so you can kind of see the interaction there with the vehicle. We'll get into the hotspots here in a sec. But see how you can just kind of toggle back and forth. This is what gives the buyer, I'm going to back up. The buyer's going to tell himself, I'm going to back up and have to paint that left bedside, right? Then go into the interior. And so we do a 360 shot of the interior as well. It kind of gives you an overview of what's kind of going on inside. And then we could add hotspots here as well. The cool thing about our CR compared to the industry CR is that ours is a complete 360, right? And so they just give you like 8 grainy pictures and some information about the car. And that's the way it's been for a long time. But we actually go into greater detail on the vehicle. And we record everything that's wrong with the vehicle, which gives the buyer greater transparency, like I said before. And so they, before the sale, typically what happens is a buyer will go in and preview all these vehicles, add them to a run list, and then attempt to buy them, right? And so this is kind of overview our CR. Here is our Lane X LinkedIn page. I just want to kind of show you what we're going to add and what's coming in the future. Here's our auctioneer, so a live auctioneer. So what it looks like live, so that all the auctioneers are online. So it kind of gives you like a glimpse into kind of what's going on. And there's over 100 cars in each of those lanes that buyers are logged into buying. So it's basically, I could never be an auctioneer. I always say it's an art. Let me get to our other 360, kind of show you what we're doing for the future of CRs, right? Going very slow. Boom. All right, here we are. This is the video, and we've added a kind of a background blur, because what you saw before is just kind of what it is in its natural environment. But here we can add a background blur to the vehicle, which takes out any light or glare on the vehicle, which again, even gives you greater transparency, right? So we take different shots of the vehicle to give the buyer more transparency and just some information as well, like, what the engine is or what the engine size is. And then we give them a view of the inside as well, which is all interactive. And as the sale's going on, the buyer can actually interact with these 360s all the way up until it gets to where the auctioneer is trying to sell it, right? Or on block is what we call it, right? And so, yeah. let me escape. Stop sharing. And so we feel, you know, the industry needed this, right? It needed something that was more transparent, that would allow the buyer to, you know, buy in confidence or buy with confidence, if you will, and as well as the seller. And so we're basically like a brokerage, right, between the buyer and seller. Our fees are lower than anybody in the industry currently, with our buy fee and sell fee. And like I said before, a car sells every 60 seconds. So you can imagine the chaos that ensues once you're having an auction. It's pretty awesome. And so, but that's pretty much all I have. Is there any questions?
Hey, Ben, can you tell us how the cars get inspected? Do you have a team of people that go on site, or those cars are from all over the country, I would guess? So how does that work?
Yeah, definitely. And so, yeah, they do. So depending on the account and depending on what the vehicle is, the car stays where it's at. And so it's kind of another cool feature of we kind of cut out transportation on one side of it. So I used to work at Hertz. I used to order the entire fleet for Hertz. And so we would have vehicles around 200,000 to 180,000 vehicles at auctions all over the country, right? At a cost to the seller, Hertz, for around 4 to 5 million annually, right, to move those cars. So in our situation, in our example, the car just stays where it's at. We send someone out to capture that vehicle, like you just saw in the condition report, as well as the video.
Are these employees of the company? Are they gig workers or contractors? How does that work?
A little bit of both, yeah. And so we're starting to move into where we're going to use independent contractors all across the country to capture these vehicles. But we have a staff of individuals to go out and capture those.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I can attest, Lennox is down the hall from us, and you'll walk by and you'll hear them doing their auction. It's pretty interesting to watch it happen, because I've been to a live auction where the chaos ensues, but seeing it in a virtual environment is really interesting as well. Thanks for sharing.
Hey, you bet.
Ben, can you talk about who the customer is? Is it primarily dealerships?
So you have dealerships, you have what we call fleet lease companies, remarketers, factory sales. And so if you can look at it from a financial standpoint, like GM Financial or Ford Financial, or, you know, Tinker Federal Credit Union, for example, they'll all run vehicles at auction, right? Dealers, you know, typically run their trades or aged units to get them off their lot so they can turn cars faster, right? And so that's kind of the genre, if you will, of what vehicles run in an auction.
So in your business model, do you focus on clean title vehicles only, or is it salvage title?
Yeah, I'll sell anything. To be honest, if it's burnout on a pallet, I'll sell that as well. So yeah, it doesn't really matter what kind of car it is or what condition it's in. I'll obviously sell it.
Are you targeting one market over the other, or is it just?
Not really. No, I mean it's just targeting the entire market, right? And so yeah, just everybody and anybody that wants to sell a car, will run it through our auction.
And you mentioned this is, I think, the second auction.
It is today, 11:30.
After 2 years of work on this, can you talk about how the idea changed over those 2 years, or what the milestones were that caused it to take so long to get to this point?
Yeah, for me, it's like a blur. It didn't take as long as
You're like, no, it was so fast.
It wasn't fast.
Time flew.
But yeah, so kind of like I'll kind of reiterate kind of the initial portion of what I said. So we started with Goggle Auctions, and really we kind of had an epiphany as far as like we really need more of an audience to roll that out, right? Because if I send somebody a pair of VR goggles, you know, they may or may not use it. But if I have a test audience and can roll it out at a later date, that would be more, you know, efficient on our end as far as that type of auction. And so that was the reason for the pivot, right? Is to get into something that the buyers could do today and understand greater and start to buy and sell cars.
Hey, Ben, how has the auto industry changed in your world in the last, 60, 90 days?
Yeah.
Give us an overview.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy, as it has been everywhere in any industry, right? And so what we're seeing in the industry currently is manufacturers aren't manufacturing vehicles right now. Some have fired up, some aren't going to fire up until 2021. And what you're going to see, some new car stores aren't going to get new vehicles, right? And so what's going to happen there is the used vehicles are going to get more expensive, right? And so there's going to be less of them as well across the country. And so since the manufacturers aren't manufacturing vehicles, you're going to see a demand just rise all across the country. So if you're thinking about buying a car, they might buy one right now, because in a couple of months they might not be one, you know. So.
And Ben, did you say that individuals can get onto the auction and purchase as well, or is that done more for the dealership side?
Yeah, so it's a dealer only, buyer only. And so, you know, the public, there is public auctions, and we're just not at a point to where we feel that would be beneficial for us at this moment.
Ben, could you talk a little bit about how the fees work, and you know, is it the same fee for all the cars, or a variable, or a percentage? And then how do you address the issue of like the working order of the car? Or do you just take what the buyer says it is, or have they been inspected, or how does that work?
Yeah, so let's start with the fees first, right? So, and I can give you the current state of what it looks like in the industry. And so if I was to go to an auction today, my buy fee to buy a car would be on a sliding scale based on the purchase price of the vehicle. And so I always say and use this example of it. If I buy an $80,000 Navigator in California, you know, my buy fee is $1,000, right? And now I have to transport it back to my lot, wherever I am. And then I have to recondition, detail that vehicle, and put it on my front lot, right? And so we've taken that structure out of it and moved our fees to a flat fee. So every time a buyer buys a car from us, it's a flat $200, right? So we've taken the sliding scale out of it, and there's just a flat $100 sell fee for the seller, right? And so kind of creates an atmosphere for volume, if you will.
Yeah.
As far as the inspections go, we do send out inspectors, like I said before, to view that vehicle and point out any damage on the vehicle. We follow what we call in the industry NAAA guidelines for each vehicle, right? And so we announce, you know, engine noise or frame damage or flood damage on the vehicle, and so we're representing that vehicle in the best light possible.
Yeah, it's good. Thanks.
Hey, you bet.
So at a traditional auction, I think you generally have to bring in a cashier's check to get into the auction, and then you settle up at the end of it. How are the transactions working on your end? Is it credit based?
So it depends on the buyer, right? Most buyers today, in like say like a Carvana or a CarMax, will use what we call a floor plan. It's basically like a line of credit. I've seen floor plans, you know, upwards of 300 million to 5 million, right? And so that's what buyers use to buy vehicles. They can have the option of using ACH or a cashier's check, like you said, or just a regular company check. And so it really depends on the buyer, where they're at and what they use.
Hey Ben, this is pretty exciting. Do you envision a consumer version of this? You know, I think about the Auto Trader magazine, where you know you could flip through and pick up the car you like, but it's a race to see who can get to the car first. You know, if you find a really good deal.
Yeah, definitely. And so futuristically, we do plan on something like that, right? To kind of roll out a platform to where the buyer or the individual, the consumer, if you will, can kind of bypass the dealer in that game, right? And so typically what happens at a dealership, if you've ever gone and traded in a vehicle, which I assume most of you have, you know, they typically, they'll give you a value for your vehicle, and then maybe they'll put it back on through the finance on whatever you buy, right? And so at the end of the day, the dealer wins, and you may have paid too much for the vehicle. And so, but that's the kind of world we live in, right? And so, yeah, so if a consumer wanted to sell a car, we plan on having a platform to where they can come and go and have the car go directly to auction in the future. Yeah.
Great. We've got time for 1 or 2 more questions from the audience if we have them.
Hey, Ben, I was curious, are you planning on trying to keep your company private, or are you hoping for a larger company to buy you guys out?
Yeah, so as I've been working on this for 2 years, it hadn't really crossed my mind at all, right? That would be great to be able to go public, IPO, you know, at some point, someday. But at this point, it's not something we can do right now, but we hope to possibly in the future. Yeah, you know, private obviously allows you to do a lot of different things, and then obviously what IPO does, but it's something we'll look at in the future as we grow and scale.
All right. Going once, going twice. Last minute audience questions. Okay, well, Ben, we do like to end each 1 Million Cups presentation by asking you as a presenter, what can we as a 1 Million Cups Oklahoma City community do to help you in LaneX?
Yeah, so it was great. I always start out anything saying I'm not a public speaker, but when I first spoke at 1 Million Cups in Oklahoma City, it was a great experience in order to, you know, get the word out that what we're doing. And then obviously afterwards, just to get advice from people is really great as well. I think it's one of the benefits of what 1 Million Cups does. And so I'm always open to advice. I would always say, you know, just be open to feedback. And that's what I've really gotten from 1 Million Cups. And so I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, on that note, Ben, if you have a preferred method of contact, if someone wants to chat with you afterwards, feel free to drop that in the chat.
Yeah, so cool. You got it.
Okay. That was awesome, Ben. Thank you so much. So at this point, we will transition into our second presenter of the morning. And I will introduce Sarah Van Kumar with MaxQ. MaxQ has actually not presented at 1 Million Cups Oklahoma City before, but I believe they have presented at 1 Million Cups Stillwater some time ago. So we're excited to have them here for the first time in Oklahoma City and hear about how MaxQ is doing. So Sarah Van, we'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And I'm really happy to be here. As Susan mentioned, this is our first time here in Oklahoma City, 1 Million Cup. We presented in 1 Million Cup Stillwater in 2017, and we were a team of 4 at the time, and we were providing solutions to about 4 to 5 hospitals at the time. And right now, we are a team of 30, and we are servicing over 450 hospitals in the United States. So I'll spend a few minutes to tell a little bit about what MaxQ is, what is it that we do, and also wanted to spend some time talking about how COVID has affected and what have we done post-COVID. And we had some pretty interesting times in the last couple of months. So I have a slide deck. I'm just going to try and pull that one up. There you go. So we are a manufacturer of insulated packaging systems for safe transportation of temperature-sensitive biologics, like blood, vaccines, pharmaceuticals, these life-science products that needs to be kept at precise temperatures during transport. If you look at just in the United States, there's about $35 billion worth of blood and biologics are moved every year. And the solutions, the industry-wide solutions are your typical styrofoam cardboard boxes with ice to move these products. And right now, the cutting-edge solution hospitals is Yeti coolers. And all these solutions are designed for moving recreational beverages and beers, to be honest, but it's not, it's not designed for blood or biologics. And they are inefficient, they're extremely bulky, they're designed to keep large volumes of beverages inside, and they lack visibility and traceability. I mean, some of the visibility in this sector is not any better than an Amazon tracking. Now, if you think about a $250,000, $500,000 drug moving around in a box, and if your visibility is only as good as Amazon delivery coming to you, that's not good. And the industry needs a completely different way of looking at it. Essentially, what happens is that puts the product and at the end of it, a patient at risk. This is sort of like a core challenge in this industry. And what we designed is using our proprietary insulation material, we designed and developed intelligent packaging systems. These are proprietary designs that are built around what the product is being transported. And we manufacture and we sell these packaging systems. These are 100% reusable systems built with industry's most cutting-edge insulation material. And lately, we started integrating sensors and tracking systems into the packaging itself, so we can provide real-time visibility on where the package is, what is happening to the product. And if the product is at risk, the box will call out for help. It can send notifications to stakeholders across the board, letting them know I'm being left in a tarmac, or I'm sitting in a warehouse without any air. And if I'm going to go out of temperature in the next 30 minutes, the box will call out for help itself. And that's sort of how we've transitioned packaging. So some of our key customers today are, like, we know over 450 hospitals in the United States. We're in several hospitals in Canada, Ireland. We're moving into Australia as well. over 15 blood centers in the United States. New York Blood Center. Recently, 2 months ago, we became a client, a vendor for Oklahoma Blood Institute as well. We right now provide all of their boxes for moving their specimens for testing. Several military bases, clinical trial companies, early stage pharma companies. So we've grown our market share in several different verticals over the last 3 years. Essentially, what our products provide us in terms of value to our customers is, number one, because we use really high-end installation materials, our packages offer best protection for the product inside the boxes. Most of our customers have reported near zero losses over the last 3 to 4 years of using our packages. Number two is, because our systems are reusable, we bring sustainability element to our customers. So our boxes last anywhere up to 10 times compared to any existing packaging box in the industry today. And finally, our boxes are smaller and lighter, so they move more products in smaller footprint. So it reduces shipping costs. So we tie this all together. We bring the total best value solution to our customers, irrespective of which part of the life science industry that they are in right now. With the new tracking system, what our system offers is a full real-time dashboard where our customers can log in, see where the package is at any given time. It's precise about a couple of meters in GPS location. It's chain of custody built in, so if anytime somebody opens the box during transport, there is a notification for that. There is temperature data that we collect both inside the box and outside the box. So we have a pretty good idea of what's going to be happening with the box. So we're moving from the realm of corrective and preventive actions after the package delivered to predictive actions that we can do while the box is in transit. A quick example is almost like we're building up a cell phone, like a battery charge type model for our packages. So if you're using your cell phone, for say you're talking on the phone for an hour or two, you're going to deplete a lot more battery. Just like that, if the package goes in a really hot condition like in Arizona, it's going to lose a lot of energy. But if it's going to stay in, say, in a really tropical climate where it doesn't get extremely hot or it doesn't get extremely cold, the box doesn't use up as much energy. So we are building a battery meter for our packages, which is enabling us to start providing some of these preventive capabilities for our end users and customers. We're working with several logistics partners, DHL, UPS, to try and start integrating this data stream into their network, so they'll be able to proactively take the corrective actions. We are based off in Stillwater. We're about 10,000 square foot facility. We are moving this month, end of this month, so we're going to a slightly bigger facility, about 12,000 square foot facility, and we have production in-house. We have qualified in-state manufacturing partners. We are a 100% made in USA company at this point. All our products are made here in the United States. We have a separate thermal lab, so every product we build goes through rigorous testing. We put them at extreme hot summer conditions in Arizona, and extreme cold conditions in Alaska. We can recreate all those things in our lab, and we can test and certify these packages. And we are close to getting an ISO certification for our operation as well. And then in the last 3 years, we grew from about 6 hospitals in 2017, 180 in 2018, and then we pushed over 340, 350 in end of 2019. And early 2020 was really great for us. We crossed over the 450 threshold by March, and then this happened. And this was a pretty big churn for us. Number one is, we got about 30 people in the building, so we had to take a step back and figure out operational changes as far as what we need to do in-house. And we had to change our production shifts. We had to send some of our people to make some of them as work from home. And we had to have a rotating schedule in the office to make those operational changes. And number two is, there was a lot of significant market level changes. People were not donating as much blood. Blood banks and hospitals are our primary customers. Due to fear of the pandemic, the donations shrunk in the early this year, and that really put a stress on this market. A lot of our long-term projects kind of like put on hold or were delayed indefinitely because at blood centers, the resources were diverted towards finding suitable donors. And so we had to sort of like take a pause for a couple of weeks and then figure out, okay, what does this mean for us in long term? How do we go through this and survive through this? And then how do we go and scale based off that? So one of the first things that we picked up was sterilization. So here we have 450 hospitals. that are using our boxes across the U.S. to move blood products on a daily basis, they're going to need help about cleaning, sterilizing. If I do send blood to a coronavirus patient and I get the box back, what do I do with it? Do I clean it or not? How do I clean it? What is the safest way of cleaning it? So we quickly developed a cleaning protocol, and then we reached out to all our existing customers. First, made sure that they're aware that we are an essential manufacturer, so we are running, we're fully operational, and we help them with cleaning, with implementing these cleaning procedures and protocols. And that gave us about a week or two, and then we started looking into testing. With the last 3 months or so, with the scale at which we have scaled up testing is phenomenal. And a lot of our products were built to transport blood as bags of blood when you go donate blood, but they are easily extendable to move blood specimens or swab specimens. And specimen integrity is extremely critical. If the specimens go out of temperature, then the test results are no longer reliable. So that's pretty simple. So our team did a terrific job. In record time, in less than 2 weeks, we took whatever we had for blood, and then we reconfigured it, we retested it, we revalidated it, and then we launched a full suite of packaging systems for just moving COVID specimens. How to keep it sterile, how to keep the process as dynamic as possible, because now you have millions of people being tested around. How do we help these labs collect and move samples as fast as possible? We launched a wide variety of solutions, from disposables, one-time use packages, instant activation cooling systems, long-term export shipping packages, and even packages with built-in tracking and monitoring systems. Right now, we are servicing several labs in the state of Washington, Louisiana, Maryland, and Michigan. Most of those have already cleared validation. They are live using the boxes right now. One of the first ones to go live was University of Washington in Seattle. If you remember, they are the first one in the United States to face a pretty massive spread. Was in Seattle, and it was our packages, and we were able to help those hospitals safely move blood products and specimens using our packaging systems. And in parallel, what we also did is, there's a lot of drone platforms available today. We have been collaborating with Oklahoma State last year and a half or so to make our packages drone compatible. So eventually, when the regulations do catch up, we'll have packages that can ensure precise temperatures while leveraging some of these drone platforms out there. So as soon as we developed the full COVID-19 shipping systems, we went and collaborated with them, and then we demonstrated capabilities of delivering test kits, patient specimens, emergency supplies, and even vaccines when the vaccines come out. These drone modalities are going to be really at the forefront of solving this particular challenge right now. So that was a fantastic partnership, and that allowed us to talk to a lot of drone companies, and we are now working with some global health partners like PATH program and the Gates Foundation program to figure out how do we take some of these technologies that we have in-house and then bring it out to some of those small to medium income countries where the supply chain is going to take a pretty big hit once the vaccine starts coming out. So right now we're kind of like getting over the testing phase. We're starting to add more labs right now, and we are looking at 2 broad areas as the next ones that we're launching. We are working with 4 blood centers in the United States to develop packaging for their convalescent plasma. It's still under emergency use authorization, but this is one of the most promising treatment there is for COVID-19. And so now we've developed, and it's in field testing right now, packaging systems that are dedicated for moving these plasma products. And one of the things about plasma is it ships frozen. So how do you keep it from breaking while keeping the low temperatures is a pretty significant industry problem. The industry has an acceptable loss of 10% on a normal operation, but these are not normal times. 10% loss is pretty significant. So we've got some proprietary designs that we have in the field that's going through testing right now. And finally, vaccines. Everybody's looking forward to a successful vaccine to come out. We are getting ready for that too. A lot of the vaccines are RNA-based vaccines that are supposed to come out, and those require ultra cold chain, like minus 70 degrees or below, so super cold chain. And there's very few packaging systems out there that could do it. We are in development phase on this. We are going through lab testing right now. So our hope is by the time vaccine is ready to go live, we will have our packages ready to go. And these are just a few examples of what happened post COVID-19 and how we kind of like changed our business process a little bit, and so we can take the product, because our core market has taken a pretty big hit. The blood is still slow to pick up. We had some revenue loss, and we had to kind of quickly look for other opportunities. Our team stayed extremely agile, so we were open for challenges, and we were able to quickly take our technology and our solutions and reposition to solve some of these existing challenges. We are by no means over it, but I'm feeling much more confident than we were in March that I think we're going to keep finding more opportunities, and we're going to keep pivoting as and when the new opportunities come up. So that's all I have, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Sarah Van, I've got a question regarding other industries that can take advantage of the packaging that you guys offer. Are there other industries like in the food service side? You know, we're kind of in that environment now where things are expected to be there, not just in 2 days, but within the hour. Are there other industries that could utilize your packaging materials to ship, foods or other things in a just-in-time scenario?
Absolutely. So food is one sector. Pharmacy distribution is another sector. Now you have home deliveries from CVS, Walgreens. So a lot of the pharmacy solutions are another sector. There is a cost variable. Our systems are expensive because it's a total best value solution, right? So it's got the reusability life. It pays for itself after about 10 shipments or so. But some of the long-term ROI metrics are not suitable for food and these other distribution. We love life science because number one, it goes to our mission of protecting patients, and that's number one. Number two is the products that are being transported are really expensive. A bag of blood is $500 depending on which part of the country you're in. You lose a shipment with 10 bags, that's $5,000 worth of shipment that you're losing at any given time. So, and if you look at some of the Novartis drugs, the cancer drugs that came out, the Chimera type products, those are about 50 ml vial, $250,000 shot, and use that one vial, you cannot make it again. These are tailor made to patients. So that's where we see our niche opportunity as. And even now with testing and even the COVID opportunities we're looking at, we always keep the filter of is cost going to be a barrier? We always look for what areas we can go to where cost is not a barrier.
So, Van, this is really exciting, and especially to see the value you're bringing to Oklahoma and Oklahomans. So I had a couple questions just in terms of like the in-house development, as far as the development of the IoT and the manufacturing of the IoT device, as well as the rest of the supply chain. How much of your supply chain and manufacturing is Oklahoma based?
So more than 80% is Oklahoma based. So there's only
Awesome.
So we've been building a pretty good network of manufacturers and partners here in Oklahoma. We love keeping our manufacturing in Oklahoma because it gives us control over the distribution, gives us control over quality, and it's easy to transfer knowledge. We went through a cycle. So we initially started off in 2017 with 100% outsourced manufacturing, and then we brought about 70% in-house because to streamline the processes, reduce costs, things like that. And now we are back again trying to piece out and then take portions of it and then outsource portions of it. So we've tried to keep close to 80% within the state. There are some really phenomenal shops across Oklahoma, and I need to mention Oklahoma Manufacturing Alliance. I mean, they've been a fantastic resource for us, and our local agent is in the office once every 2 days, and he's constantly looking at ways to bring more suppliers, bring more partners to us, and that's been fantastic.
Outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Van, tell us about Stillwater. How did you guys end up in Stillwater, or what was the? Everybody loves Stillwater, of course, but how did that come into the equation?
Go folks, I was a OSU grad, so I came to Oklahoma State to go get a master's and then a PhD degree, and then once I was done with my PhD, I was about 5 years in Stillwater, and this is pretty much home for me. So, and that's how we started off. I founded the company when I was still in school. I had two other partners, grad school. We just didn't have anything to do with our time. We didn't know what to do with our time. So we took some of these ideas and then we started building a concept for it. And it was a business plan competition that we participated in. The business school in Oklahoma State had a competition, and then I2E, the Governor's Cup was the other one. So we just wanted to go through that season to figure out, just to participate. And then at the tail end of it, we had a really good technology. And more than the technology, we had a really great team. And there was a lot of synchronization in the team as to we need to go and create value with what we've done. At that point, we've all spent close to 8 to 10 years in the education system trying to get a degree and all those things. We wanted to understand how do we create value using that degree. And this seemed like a really good one to keep running. So we enjoyed it.
What has been the best pleasant surprise about working in the state of Oklahoma?
There are plenty of resources. I mean, the surprise is when we started the company first and when we started pitching to other stakeholders, even customers, vendors, investors, the question will always come up, why Oklahoma? Why Oklahoma? And why not move? There were a couple of times we were really thinking of considering about moving to Texas. We felt like this is home, and we wanted to be comfortable in an environment that we are in, and we wanted to grow out of Stillwater. And there's actually plenty of resources available. And I think there's a lot of hidden resources, talent, plenty of talent in state. We have 17, 18 investors at this point that are invested in this company. So most of them are from here in Oklahoma. So, and mentors, board of advisors, directors, we're pretty much really Oklahoma-based company in every sense possible. And in fact, 100% Oklahoma State employed company at this point. But I think that's a big surprise for us. Even we surprised ourselves by doing that. And from a customer standpoint, just to add on, we are right now servicing Integris, Norman Regional, Stillwater Medical Center, St. Anthony's, Oklahoma Blood Institute. So some of our early customers, early adopters were within the state as well. So Oklahoma Blood Institute was the first meeting we ever took when we wanted to build boxes. And it took us 4 years to build and deliver a solution that actually fits the supply chain. But those are all amazing resources. I mean, it's all completely bootstrapped here within the state of Oklahoma.
Well, being a marketing guy, one of my questions would be is how do you get the word out about your product you're offering? Do you attend trade shows? Do you have a sales team? How do you get the product offering to the market?
We have a combination of things. So we do trade shows. We used to do a lot more before. Now we slowly transitioned to like 1 or 2 national level trade shows. We used to do a bunch of regional shows, and now we've transitioned to just doing 1 or 2 national shows in a year. Number 2 is we have built an in-house inside sales team. So we cold call hospitals and get them on a video conference. We've been doing video conference sales since 2018. So, and our close rate is over 80% once we get somebody on a video conference call. So it's a product that people understand. It's a packaging. And number 2 is the market is sort of like least resistance because there's not a lot of competition for these. You don't have igloo reps and Rubbermaid reps out there trying to sell igloo coolers to hospitals and blood centers. So those are some of the low-hanging opportunities for us to immediately get in and exploit. And lately, we are starting to do a lot more digital marketing, especially during the COVID times. It has been phenomenal. The amount of traffic we're able to generate to our websites and the amount of qualified inbounds we're getting is fantastic in the last 2-3 months.
All right, time for maybe one more question.
Sarah, this is great. You talked about you've got about 30 people. Could you kind of talk about what the breakdown of your staffing is and what their roles are and how big the focus is as far as employee count?
Sure, certainly. So we have sort of like roughly we are in 3 streams. We have an engineering division, we have manufacturing, production operations, and we have sales. We start off engineering heavy, and now we're adding up resources on production and sales. We've about 10 or so employees on sales right now, close to 12 or 13 on the manufacturing side, and about 7 on the engineering side. So that's the rough composition of the team right now.
Nice, excellent.
Great. Thanks so much, Sarah Van. Just like we did the other presentation, I want to end by asking you, what can we as a 1 Million Cups Oklahoma City do to help you and MaxQ?
Two things. One is it's just industry wide. There is a lot of blood shortage across the United States. So I'd request members to consider donating. If you have before, just call the local center and then sign up for again. If you haven't, this would be a great time to go donate blood right now. There was a lot of shrinkage in the blood inventory, and then suddenly elective surgeries are opened up now. So, and people are drawing a lot more blood than they used to the last couple of months. So please consider donating. OBI, you can just go to OBI's website and you can there's a direct number to call and you'll be able to schedule a donation right away. Number two is, again, it goes back to the same thing as I said as a positive is resources. We're always looking for resources. It's customer introductions, it's advisors, it's members that could join our team and help our team. Please point them towards our way. A lot of people don't know that we exist here and this is what we do. So please spread the word around and any valuable resources you can bring to the team. We're always looking for people to help us.
All right. Thank you so much, Sarah Van. Maybe a virtual round of applause for both of our presenters this morning. I think today's meetup was really excellent in showcasing the innovation within Oklahoma. So in less than 45 minutes, we saw a room full of auto auctioneers doing virtual auctions and heard about life-saving vaccines and specimens being delivered by drones. So if you didn't think that Oklahoma could be or already is a real hub for software and biotech innovation, I think these two presenters really nailed that today. So thank you guys again for being here. Before you all go, the first thing we want to do is we set up a poll in the Zoom call, which you should be seeing now. And we have just a few questions. I think there's 4 questions that are going to help us as an organizing team decide when we will go back to meeting in person / if when we go back to meeting in person, we will continue to offer a virtual option. So if you will answer these questions as they pop up on your screen, that would be really great and helpful for us. So I'll leave each one open for just a few seconds. Thanks, Lennon. Appreciate the claps. All right, I'm gonna leave the first one open for just a couple more seconds and then we'll launch the second question. All right, and while you guys are answering these questions, one thing I want to stress is the most valuable way that you all can follow 1 Million Cups Oklahoma City, and that is through our website, which I'm posting a link to the website here in the chat. So when you visit the website, right there on the homepage in that top banner, there's a button that says follow. If you click that button and enter your email address, that will add you to our mailing list. We send 2 emails a month. The first one is announcing that meetup, who are the speakers going to be, and the second one is a reminder. So if you are interested in following 1 Million Cups, that's really the best place to make sure you stay up to date with what speakers are presenting at the different meetups that we'll be having. All right, I'm going to leave the second question open just a couple more seconds.
I would also like to add, if you guys know people that would be interested in the type of conversations that we're having, spread the word. Use our social media channels as well. Let them know how they can find us and when to attend. And if they have questions, make sure they reach out to us on our social media channels, and we'd be happy to answer those too.
All right, our third poll question is launched. Let me just have one more after this and we'll wrap it up. And don't forget, Brent from Rack 59 is going to be doing a giveaway at the very end, so stick around. All right, just a couple more seconds on this one, and then we'll open the last question and do the giveaway.
Those are some good questions.
Thanks, Scott. Our organizer, Stacy with I2E, put this together. So we appreciate you guys giving us data that'll help us make these decisions. All right, it looks like almost everyone's voted on this last one, so I will leave that open in case anyone else needs to vote, and we will do our giveaway. So the way this is going to work is we'll ask a question, and the first person to type the correct answer into the chat, make sure your chat is set to everyone so we can see it and isn't private chat, will win the gift cards provided by Rack 59 to Starbucks and to Brown's Bakery. And I believe Brent will mail those to you. Okay, so the question is, what was the former name of Lane X Auto Auctions? Ooh.
Getting close. There we go.
I think you'll take the whole thing with Goggle Auctions. That is correct. So Morgan, first timer, wins the trivia question and the gift cards. Brent will follow up with you to get your mailing address for the gift cards.
Morgan, I'm sorry. I was going to make sure that we have your contact information. If you filled out the form online, all I'll probably need is your email address to contact you, and I'll get those in the mail to you.
Perfect. Yeah, Susan has my info.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you everyone so much for being here. We're wrapped up early this week. Love the rapid fire presentations. Hope to see you guys back in July, and you'll see more info from us in the next couple of weeks about what that's going to look like and who the presenters are. So thanks everyone.